The fallout continues from Friday's U.S. Supreme Court decision striking down some of President Donald Trump's tariffs. The president held a news conference Friday where the Center Square reporter, Sarah Roderick-Fitch, got to witness the president's reaction firsthand. Sarah joins us now. Sarah, the lights weren't the only thing that seemed a little bit different in the White House press briefing room. The tone also a little bit different. Tell us what it's like being in the room when the president takes the stage, especially on such an impactful day like Friday.
It was a very interesting day, to say the least. We expected earlier in the morning. I'd been I accompanied the First Lady to Smithsonian, so we sort of didn't expect this to sort of happen. It came about last minute that we learned that this press conference was going to happen. We sort of expected, once the ruling came down, we sort of expected there was going to be a Truth Social post, obviously something kind of long, because the president had been pushing the tariff stuff so much. This is really a cornerstone of his presidency, and sort of helped him with granting peace deals and bringing back manufacturing jobs, and also national security issues. A lot of it's been tied up with the tariff stuff. So we knew there was going to be a lot of stuff coming from it. So we got there to the White House, back to the White House. Thankfully, Secret Service was awesome getting us back there in time. But yeah, it was a very interesting. The lights kind of came down. Caroline Leavitt actually came out and did it herself. She took it upon herself to do it. But I think it was really just sort of capture the president's mood, really. But it was really interesting. When the president came out, you could see that he was not happy with this. He was visible. He brought out his team with him on the sidelines. A lot of people didn't see, but Attorney General Pam Bondi was also there in attendance, sitting there. But I really think kind of the lighting was just sort of to give that, he wanted to give that impression that, hey, this is serious, and sort of a I don't know, an ominous tone. But it was really interesting because as the press conference went on and as the president spoke, he seemed to feel a little bit more, I feel like more, the tone sort of turned to optimistic. He had a plan B, and it sort of turned into, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to be even better than before. So he really, it started out a little bit like he was, definitely angry about it. He certainly was. He was not happy with this ruling. But in a way, he kind of made it seem like, oh, he's going to take lemons and turn it into lemonade. I mean, it was like
he spun it there at the very end, and we'll get to that clip because I do want your reaction to that. But obviously, some of the Supreme Court justices that he nominated didn't side with him on this, and I just want to get your thoughts about Trump's tone versus the tone of other presidents in the past who may have had rulings that didn't go their way. Here's how the president answered a couple of questions from members of the press Friday.
Mr. President, on the Supreme Court justices who ruled against this the policy, striking it down, are they still invited to your State of the Union next week? And will you speak with them?
They are invited, barely. Three are happily invited. No, they're barely invited. Honestly, I couldn't care less if they come, okay?
Do you regret nominating them?
I don't want to say whether or not I regret. I think their decision was terrible, yeah. I think it's an embarrassment to their families. You want to know the truth, the two of them.
Interesting, again, hearing the president talk about some Supreme Court justices in that fashion.
Yes, and one of the CNN reporter, Kristen Hughes, she actually tried asking the president a question. Of course, the president shot her down. CNN. He said, "No, I don't take fake news." Well, her question, and I'm not sure if people heard it or not, but her question was on Amy Coney Barrett. What his reaction? Did he regret that nomination? Of course, he shot her down. But yeah, it was interesting how he kind of did that. It is sort of, he kind of held back a little bit. I was sort of surprised in a way. He didn't go full force on them. But the reality is that a lot of these justices have gone along with him on several different rulings. So he has actually had, this was really kind of the first loss that he really had. This is one of the big losses. He has had a lot of victories. So in a way, he kind of has to be, a little bit careful because they have gone sort of his way. So especially Gorsuch. Now Gorsuch went against him on this one, but but overall, Gorsuch has gone with Gorsuch is very much on the conservative. He's an originalist, constitutionalist. He is on that side of the court. And so he has gone with the president. So I think in a way, the president was very trying to be tactful as the president can be, to not go after them too much, because I think he does know, hey, they have ruled with him on several instances. But yeah, I think it is interesting how his reaction was, and but I think he kind of kept it. He didn't go after them too personally, which I think the other people, members of my press, my other colleagues, were kind of hoping he was gonna maybe throw out a name, some sort of a nickname or whatever,
some invective and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah, and typically when when lawyers are talking about judges' rulings, they're very couched in how they approach that. They do not diminish the credibility of a judge or a justice in this particular case. So yeah, hearing the president react that way, that just tomorrow he's going to be standing likely in front of these Supreme Court justices a stone's throw away. Then they just handed down that ruling. But obviously, Sarah, the political ramifications from this are just going to be ongoing. And we've already heard two harsh critics of President Donald Trump earlier. And here's just some more from Governor Gavin Newsom out of California and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker talking about what they fear is going to happen next with the president's tariffs.
He is now saying he's got some secret plan to reimpose tariffs or something like tariffs that he hasn't told anybody about, but that he just wants to keep them going. Somehow it seems like that's illegal because the Supreme Court has now ruled that he acted unconstitutionally in carrying out his tariffs.
And what did Donald Trump do? He had a tantrum today, and he decided to tax you all again across the board, 10% across the board under some new authority. He's unhinged. Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged.
Again, Gavin Newsom and Governor J.B. Pritzker there, two people who are thought to possibly be vying for the job of president in the 2028 elections. What's some of the other reaction you're hearing there over in Washington, D.C. about this?
I mean, there's a lot of mixed reaction. I talked to, certain economists and everything like that. The idea is that, the president, obviously, it was, really, he's saying it was over the emergency. It was really one thing that they struck down, and Kavanaugh sort of laid a roadmap out for him. But at this point, there's a lot of it that's just sort of, questions that are still up in the air. Even the president said that. He was asked about the money, some of this money that's been generated from the tax revenue. What is going to happen with that? So it's still really new and young. Sure, there's probably going to be some more lawsuits coming from it. But yeah, the Democrats are sort of pouncing on this as sort of an opportunity to say like, oh, this is all legal. But in reality, the Supreme Court said, hey, okay, well, maybe under, you can exercise it under this, and we'll see if that happens. So it'll be, continue to be interesting. The president's not going to let up. He is not going to let up from this. There's no doubt he's used these tariffs as leverage. And I think one of the interesting things was during the press conference, he took a lot of questions from a lot of members of foreign press. I had a lot of members of foreign press around me. And I think that was in a way, he did that on purpose. He was trying to address like the other countries. He was trying to say, hey, we're not going to let up. I know there was a couple reporters from India. There's trade deals going with them that are still stalled and not sure what's going on with them. And so I think the president was sort of trying to send a message to them as well that, hey, he's not going to slow down, that this is not going to change things. But I think my question for the president, what I think is going to be really interesting, what comes from this is the president is supposed to be traveling the end of next month to Beijing, China, to meet with President Xi of China. And I think it'll be really interesting because obviously from this ruling, China probably has to be the happiest of anyone, probably happier than, Newsom or Pritzker, which is, hard to believe, but they probably are. And it'll be really interesting to see how that impacts that visit, because I think the president has sort of felt that, hey, he has this leverage now, and we'll see what comes of it. But also there's another part of it too, is with that visit is going to come is the president has also sort of diminished China's power, not just trade-wise, but also Venezuela. They have, and then perhaps in Iran, what's going to happen in Iran. The president has really sort of has taken away a lot of their global power in a way. And so I think that's what the president's going to be, looking for. So I think that'll be really kind of an interesting thing that happens. We'll see. We'll
be watching that very closely at the Center Square. But finally, as you mentioned earlier, the president seemed to spin this right at the tail end before he walked off the podium after taking quite a few questions from both domestic and foreign press about the impacts of this. After just moments before, he said he's disappointed and it's a horrible ruling. He then had this to say about the ruling.
Look, great certainty has been brought back to the economy of the United States and actually the economy of the world, because we generate so much in the world. We're the biggest in the world, and we're now the strongest by far. We were a country that was dead 1.5 years ago. Now we have the hottest country in the world. We're going to keep it that way. Thank you very much, everybody.
Again, moments before, he's saying it was a disastrous ruling. He was posting on Truth Social weeks before that it would destroy the country if his tariffs were shot down. While it was a narrow ruling about emergency tariffs, he says, hey, that's given him some more certainty on how to deal with this issue.
Yes, I do. I think I think that was what I don't think he maybe expected, the justices to sort of give him a roadmap, but they gave him a roadmap, especially Kavanaugh gave him a roadmap saying, hey, try this one. You can't use this, but you can use that. So in a way, and he had said during the press conference, he said, actually, in a way, he was like, it should have come sooner, because he was like, now I know what I can do. And so it was like it paved sort of the way for him. And so he kind of seemed a little bit, maybe a sense of relief that it wasn't sort of just hanging over him, because I think that's one of the things was he was thinking, hey, this trip is going to be coming, this trip to China. Okay. This is coming up. This is still hanging over him. And now it's out. And I think in some ways it was a huge relief to him. And in a way for him to sort of move forward. And we'll see also, I think will be really interesting what comes of this, because again, tomorrow night's the State of the Union. Right. Is he going to lay out some other plans, for tariffs? I mean, as he had to move to plan B, what's going to be coming next? So I think I kind of wonder, if they had to sort of rework some of the State of the Union to sort of, come to that plan B. I'm sure that they were busy doing that this weekend. I know that he has, just from the schedule, the president he was working all weekend. So he was here in Washington and stayed. So I'm sure that we will be hearing more about that stuff and some of his other plans tomorrow night during the State of the Union.
No question. Sarah Roderick-Fitch, thank you so much for taking time with us here for the Center Square Daily. All right, well, from my studio in Central Illinois, I'm Greg Bishop. Join us back here Tuesday for more stories impacting you, the taxpayer, from around the country, only with the Center Square Daily.